Okay, so science versus religion. So let's go to the roots. And the very origins of the primitive religion have roots, as it appears to us at least, in the instinctive fear of natural phenomena, which humans back then were not yet able to understand and explain during the dawn of mankind. And so let's consider various natural forces such as thunder, wind, light, and darkness, as well as strictly human activities like sleep, death, illness. All of them were sparking fear and confusion in the mind of a prehistoric person. And inevitably, in order to explain above incidents, humans have tried to anthropomorphize these events and experiences, assigning them to the superhuman forces, trying to interpret their causes and adjust human behavior in attempt to engage with this unexplained. And this period lasted for a very long time, and up until classic antiquity, where ancient thinkers started to challenge gods. They were brave enough to challenge them and their manifestations among men. A typical example of this movement would be a pre-Socratic philosopher, Xenophanes. And pre-Socratics are basically a group of Greek philosophers who lived before Socrates, and we can talk about them sometime later. But Xenophanes, who lived in the 6th century BC, was attacking human-like deities. And later, he adds, and this is very important, he says that the greatest God, and the idea of the God was already kind of flying in the air among the thinkers. He said that the greatest God resembles man neither in form nor in mind. That was a very powerful statement. But though far greater contribution to our understanding of nature's display came a couple of centuries later, after Xenophanes, with Aristoteles, who among others started to apply a rational thought in order to explain physical world's phenomena. He was observing, he was categorizing, dissecting, literally and figuratively, the world around us. And with him, the seeds of PreSocratics gave us an abundant harvest in the form of a Plato's greatest student. Though for a very long time, up until nowadays, we have lots of people still attributing natural forces to acts of a jealous god or gods. As we start to approach AD era, we begin to observe a notable shift away from an animalistic fear and superstitious ignorance. Hellenistic expansion after Alexander the Great conquered the whole East and basically the whole known world back in the 4th century BC. So Hellenistic expansion spread this Greek rational method throughout the East, meanwhile, of course, equally absorbing all local practices that existed back then. And so it eventually produced a wide variety of systems and attitudes towards supernatural. Hellenism disturbed and altered pantheon of deities, along with the way they were venerated throughout the whole realm of Seleucid Empire in Ptolemaic Egypt, you name it, and beyond that. As these territories were gradually absorbed by Rome, we're ending up with the whole mosaic of religious practices combining Greek mythology, Persian mysteries, intertwined with Egyptian gods, and all of them were competing with each other for human souls. offering interpretation and destiny of a mortal. It's an exciting historic period for contemplating this unfolding evolutionary drama, a religious struggle for happiness in this world and survival in the next. During these vibrant times, we observe the entrance of monotheism, which is about to methodically conquer and, for the most part, impertinently destroy polytheism on the religious arena. Even though monotheism has been around for a very long time, starting its historical path from the Bronze Age with the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten, and further manifesting itself in Zoroastrian Ahura Mazda. But it's a Judaic sect calling themselves followers of Yeshua HaNotzri, or Jesus from Nazareth, as we know him today, who once and for all changed the shape of an epistemological, physical, and ethical interpretation of reality. Monotheism, securing itself with the birth of Islam, took a decisive stand on pretty much all types of human expressions and became an axiomatic paradigm for almost 2 millennia to come. Symbolically, we can mark the closing of Athenian Academy by Justinian in 529 AD as a finishing blow and eradication of a long-lasting antique tradition which nevertheless partially fused with the monotheistic teachings. Yet we don't want to look at coming medieval period as a dark spot on the panorama of human rational development, which it might seem at the first glance. In fact, we can clearly see that humanity has come a long way in its understanding of supernatural. Primitive religions based on fundamental fears and instincts have almost perished and are far behind. Greek rationalism has helped us to consolidate this huge Olympic pantheon of gods into a single Aristotelian creator. Followers of Yeshua opened God's divine character to people, though Christian and Muslim deities still anthropomorphized somewhat. It is far less jealous and angry compared to, say, Yahweh of Moses. By the way, there is an interesting parallel between Moses and Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten, who is considered historically at least, the founder of monotheism. Both of them lived in Egypt in roughly within the stretch of a couple of centuries, because we don't know exactly when Moses, if he lived at all, but we know for sure that Akhenaten reigned in the 14th century BC, and Moses was roughly at the same time at the same place. So it's an interesting parallel. Both of them are considered founders of monotheism, so there's lots of space to explore. Now, early monotheistic prophets were able to finally reconcile man with God, yet failing to completely strip deity off of human properties. Now, our far medieval ancestors did not realize all the dangers of religion and state fusion. So solidifying institution of church and Muslim Sharia law begin to slowly amalgamate with political apparatus during the first millennia of Common Era, and it gradually becomes an undisputable authority in all matters, commanding souls, commanding bodies to follow the path. And by Middle Ages, Christian Church took an uncompromising stand in all affairs, family, culture, education, interpreting the past, the present, the future of humankind without realizing that most of its dogmatic provisions soon to be shattered to pieces by emerging science.